Hi everyone, today I'm going to be showing you all of the programs and options on the zanussi ZWF844B3PW. I'm going to start out on the left hand side of the fascia where we have a program selector knob with 14 programs and an off position. Now, as you can see, this is one of those machines that has the on-off position on the dial rather than as a separate button. Now, some people prefer to have the button, some people like to have it on the dial. Personally, I don't mind. I can deal with the button and I can cope with it on the dial as well. In some ways, I do think having the button is easier, especially with automatic power off features and stuff. But at the same time, some people could argue that this is also much easier. So we'll start out with the Eco 4060 cycle. Now, every machine made after the Eco 4060 regulation was brought in must have an Eco 4060 cycle. And this is performed between 40 and 60, load dependent. Although it's never really between 40 and 60, it's more likely to be 40 degrees maximum and more like 25-30 with a smaller load. This Zanussi's Eco 4060 cycle tends to heat pretty well. I've used it twice, once on full length flexi time and the other time on quarter length flexi time. And I think both heated pretty well, so no complaints of heating there, although I've not tried it on full length with a small load yet. So, as it should be, you can't change the temperature on Eco 4060, it's 40 by default because it's automatic temperature. Spin you can change 1200, 1000, 800, 0 and Vinthold. Interestingly, changed it to 1200 adds 5 minutes, so wonder why that is. I'll have to try that at some point actually and see why it adds 5 minutes. It's either going to be a longer spin, so like more time at 1200, or it's going to be something like an additional rinse or something. Although I don't know why they're doing additional rinse when the interns don't even go to 1200 anyway. But I'll find out. You can have a pre-wash, which adds half an hour, takes up to 3 hours 35. You can add rinse plus. They call it extra rinse, but it's not really extra rinse, it's multiple extra rinses. And it varies depending on what cycle you use it. So I like to call it rinse plus. Adds 25 minutes. You can't have easy iron on Eco 4060. And that will be because it does a longer spin regardless of the load to basically maximise spin performance. Even though the Eco 4060 spins shorter than the cotton spin when you have a full load. And you also can't have night mode for the same reason. Flexi times, default is full length. That's the default on every cycle. There's no half length, but quarter length is 1 hour 35. And what that will do is that decreases the wash time significantly. It removes I think it removes one rinse and it removes one of the intermediate spins as well. And it does a shorter final spin. You can also have delay start, so 0 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, and so on in 1 hour increments. Up to 20 hours. I do like that you can have 30-minute delay time, 30, 60, 90, and 120 minutes. That's quite nice. Right, moving on. Cotton. So you'll notice it's the same length by default, 3 hours and 5 minutes, and that's a little confusing when you're going from off to cotton, to Eco 4060 to cotton. They look identical. It did, for a second when I first turned it on, I did think it might be glitched because it looks the same. So yeah, even making it 1 minute shorter or 1 minute longer would be handy to differentiate the two cycles. Or just not showing the 40 degree LED on Eco 4060 since it's auto temperature anyway. But yeah, temperatures allowed on cotton are 90 degrees, which is 3 hours 15, 60 degrees, which is 3 hours and 5, 40, which is the default and also 3 hours and 5, 30, which is 2 hours and 55, 20, which is also 2 hours and 55, and cold, which is again 2 hours and 55. Spin speeds, you're allowed 1400, 1200, 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. Options, you can have pre-wash, which adds half an hour. You can have rinse plus, which adds 25 minutes again. You have easy iron, which reduces the spin to 1000, and you can't take it above 1000, but you can decrease it to 800, and you can also turn it off as well. And you can also have rinse hold. Easy iron takes away all of the intermediate spins, and it performs a multi-burst final spin with very short holds. You can have night mode, which again, I think I may have already just explained this, but in case I haven't, it takes away all the spins and has a separate rinsing pattern, a different rinsing pattern for optimal rinsing without doing the intermediate spins. And it finishes with a rinse hold to which you can drain by pressing the start button, and then you have to respin manually. Flexi times available are 3 hours and 15 is full length for 90. I've been through all the full lengths, so we'll go through the half lengths now. So 2 hours and 45 for 90, 2 hours and 30 for 60, 225 for 40, 215 for 30, 215 for 20 as well, and 215 for cold. Quarter length, 1 hour 15 for 90, 1 hour for 60, 40, 50 minutes for 30 and 20, and cold. And again, you can have delay start. You can have delay start on all cycles. I won't go through that. Next, synthetic, 40 by default, 2 hours and 10 by default. That can be up to 60, which does not change the time on full length. 40 is again the default 2 hours and 10. 30 is 1 hour 55, 20 is 1 hour 55, and cold is also 1 hour 55. Defaults to 1200 RPM can be reduced to 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. You can have pre-wash, which adds half an hour, rinse plus, which adds 20 minutes, easy iron, which again reduces the speed to 1000 and does the same spin programming as cotton, adds 5 minutes, and night mode again does the same as cotton. Half length on the flexi time is 1 hour 40 for 60 degrees, 1 hour 35 for 40, 1 hour 25 for 30, and 20, and cold. Quarter length flexi time, 1 hour for 60, 1 hour for 40, 50 minutes for 30, 50 minutes for 20, and for cold. Delicate defaults to 30 and 1 hour 15. 20 is 1 hour 10, cold is 1 hour 5, and 40 is 1 hour and 20. Defaults to 1200 again. You can have 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. You can have not pre-wash. You can have rinse plus, that adds 20 minutes. You can't have easy iron, surprisingly, but you can have night mode. Half length is 1 hour for 40, 55 minutes for 30, and for 20, 50 minutes for cold. Course length flexor time, 45 minutes for 40, and for 30, and for 20, and for cold. Wall, our first cycle without flexor time. 40 degrees is 1 hour and 5 minutes, 30 is also 1 hour and 5 minutes, and 20, and cold. Again, defaults to 1200, you can have 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. Can't have a pre-wash, can't have an extra rinse, can't have easy iron, but you can have night mode, which adds 5 minutes. Next up is denim, which is 1 hour and 45 minutes long by default. Again, no flexor time. Defaults to 30. 20 is 1 hour and 45. Cold is also 1 hour and 45. And 40 and 30 as well. This defaults to 800, surprisingly. But you can have no spin, which reduces it down to 1 hour and 40. You can have rinse hold, which takes it back up to 145. You have 1200, which keeps it the same, and also 1000, which keeps it the same. You can't have pre-wash. You can have rinse plus, which adds 10 minutes. You can have easy iron, which is good. That adds 10 minutes and reduces the spin to 1000. And you can also have night mode, which takes off 5 minutes. Sportswear defaults to 30 degrees and 1 hour 25. 20 degrees is also 1 hour 25, and cold 40 is 1 hour 35. Spin speed defaults to 1200. You can have 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. You can have a pre-wash on sportswear that adds half an hour. You can have rinse plus, adds 20 minutes. You can have easy iron, that adds 5 minutes and reduces the spin to 1000. You cannot have night mode, surprisingly, on sportswear. That's our first cycle to disallow night mode for some reason. I wonder why that is. And obviously you can't have flexor time either. Separate spin cycle. Defaults to 12 minutes, 1400 spin. You can have 1200, 1000 or 800. Now interestingly, the only one that changes the time is 800, which changes it down to 8 minutes. And I assume that is because it takes out one of the bursts, because the programming is it has a 450 RPM burst, then it has a 1000 RPM burst, and then it has the main burst, which is at the speed you select. So for example, if I selected 1400, it would then have the main burst would be 1400, and it would hold that at 1400 for, it's the eco final spin on separate spin, so it holds for 3 minutes and 45 seconds roughly, I think. So yeah, that is the Eco 4060 final spin on here. No spin is just 1 minute because that's just a drain. Obviously you can't have rinse hold. You can't have easy iron, which is a shame because it would be nice to do a separate easy iron spin. And obviously you're not going to be able to have night mode or any of the other two options. Rinse is a softener rinse followed by the Eco 4060 final spin. So 1400 by default, 1200, 1000, 800, again reduces the time to 19 minutes. No spin, which is just a rinse followed by a drain. And you can also have rinse hold on this. You can have rinse plus, which adds 32 minutes, but you cannot have easy iron, and you can't have night mode. Dark colours is default 40 degrees, 3 hours and 10 minutes. Another cycle with flexi time. This cycle goes up to 60 degrees, 3 hours and 10 minutes. 40 is also 3 hours and 10. 30 is 3 hours, 20 is 3 hours, and cold is also 3 hours. Spin speed defaults to 1200. You can also have 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. You can have pre-wash, which adds 25 minutes. Extra rinse or rinse plus, which adds 15 minutes. You can't have easy iron, surprisingly, for a dark colour cycle. Doesn't really make much sense. And you can't have night mode either, which again, I don't know why you can't have night mode, but fair enough. Flexi time, half length, 2 hours and 40 for 60, 2 hours 35 for 40, 2 hours 25 for 30, and for 20, and for cold. Quarter length, 1 hour and 15 for 60, 1 hour 10 for 40, 1 hour 5 for 30, same for 20, same for cold. Next is Clean Boost. This is a 4 hour long cycle, and it's supposed to be for heavily soiled stuff. So it does a steam phase directly after the main wash, which it doesn't really work that effectively, to be honest, because of the cascade fill. It mostly just soaks the clothes, and it doesn't even heat them up that much, really. So yeah, this is very much based on Eco 4060. It finishes with the Eco 4060 final spin as well. It doesn't take 4 hours, even with a full load. It takes about 3 hours and 20, 3 hours and 30, if I remember correctly, because it's not timed correctly. You can't change the temperature from 60, and spin speed default 1400. You can have 1200, 1000, 800, no spin, and rinse hold. You can have a pre-wash, which adds 25 minutes. You can add rinse plus, which adds 25 minutes. You can't have easy iron, and you can't have night mode either. Next is Refresh 14, which is a 14-minute cycle designed for a very small load of very lightly soiled clothes that need just a quick refresh, not for full loads of normally soiled laundry. Default is 30, 14 minutes. You can't change the temperature. Default spin is 800, and you got no spin, and rinse hold. This is the only cycle to not go above 800 RPM, and it's actually the only cycle that doesn't allow you to do 1200 spin. You can't have a pre-wash, you can't have an extra rinse, you can't have easy iron, and you can't have night mode. Rapid 30 is a 30-minute long wash designed for a small load of lightly soiled fabrics that need a quick wash, but not quite a 14-minute quick wash, if that makes sense. 30 minutes, 40 degrees, can be reduced to 30 for 20 minutes, and that's it. 1200 by default, you can have 1000, 800, no spin, and for some reason not rinse hold. You can't have a pre-wash, you can't have an extra rinse, can't have easy iron, and you can't have night mode. Easy Wash 60 is a 1 hour long 60 degrees cycle, or not 60 degrees by default, 60 minutes cycle with full 1400 spin. It's a short final spin. But yeah, for some reason it defaults to 30. You can have 60, which does not change the time, 40 and 30. You can't have 20 or cold for some reason. You can't have a pre-wash. You can have rinse plus, which adds one rinse and an intermediate spin. That adds 10 minutes. You can't have easy iron, and you can't have night mode. Now there's one other feature I want to show you, which I'll just put the machine onto a spin. Now, if you press and hold pre-wash and rinse plus, you get your child lock feature, and no matter what you press, it won't do anything, even the start button. And to deactivate that, you just do the same, press and hold the two buttons, that will be deactivated, and you can now stop it as normal. There is also a permanent extra rinse feature, which I believe are these two. No, that's the beeper. So yeah, you can turn on and off the beeper by pressing and holding those two buttons. I like to have it off personally. There you go, you can see it's off. Permanent extra rinse must be these two. There we go. Although, that just... You can... Oh, there we go. So you can override the permanent extra rinse. That's basically the opposite of the default. So the default is no extra rinse, but permanent extra rinse means that anytime you put it to any cycle which allows extra rinse, you can see Rapid 30 doesn't allow extra rinse, but Easy Wash 60 does. By default it selects the extra rinse. So I don't want that one, so I'm going to keep that off. So yeah, the other thing you can do, which I will include here, is check the operating hours by going to wall and pressing and holding start and night mode, which is giving me EF4 for some reason. Okay. There we go. 207. So that's how many operating hours I've got on the ZWF so far. I have had this from new, so I've done all 207 of those. And I may as well include, while I'm here, error reading, which is basically anywhere on the dial, and you press and hold those two. It's giving me EF4. That's because I accidentally started a cycle when it was disconnected from the water, and very, very quickly it gave me EF4, like almost instantly it gave me EF4. So I presume that's water error, although I haven't actually looked at the Elux error codes. So that's all the programs and options on this, the new ZWF844B3PW. I hope it was useful to you. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then please leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.